With all the technological advancements that have come over the past 2 decades, it is humbling how far we have come in such a short span of time. This reality was not lost on the brilliant inventor cum entrepreneur Elon Musk when he talked about the breakneck pace with which we had progressed. Talking to students at Stanford, Musk spoke about the new reality that we had created and which would have been the stuff of dreams some years ago. Everyone has a supercomputer in their pocket and access to the combined knowledge of generations at their fingertips. That should give us loads of opportunity to improve, but also humble us in recognizing the scale of power we have.
Well, I think the most remarkable thing that we do have today is the internet and access to all the world's information from anywhere. So that's having a supercomputer in your pocket is, I think, something people wouldn't have predicted, in Back to the Future. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing.
Again at Stanford, Elon talked a bit about how he came to Stanford to work on energy storage mechanisms and ultracapacitors, but during his time he got invested in the possibilities that the internet promised. The idea of access to almost all information you could want in any place of the world. Elon thought and still thinks that the internet is one of the most formative inventions of mankind that ushered in a new era of lightning-fast access to information. This is the age of information, and it is time we utilized it to its full potential.
I started out with thinking, okay, I'm going to do something in the electric vehicle space, and that's why I originally came to Stanford, was to work on advanced energy storage technologies, in particular ultracapacitors. So that was continuing on research that I'd done as an intern in Silicon Valley in the summer prior. So that's why I originally came out in '95. And then during that summer, I wrote some internet software, and I thought, okay, I can either work on electric vehicle technology, or I could sort of work on internet stuff, try to do something with the internet. And I thought the internet would be something that would dramatically affect the future of humanity. It would be like acquiring a nervous system. And whereas previously communication would have to occur almost by osmosis, from one person to another, or slowly through telephone or mail or something like that. But now, if you have a nervous system, any part of the sort of human collective can know about any other part instantly. Previously you'd have to be at the sort of Library of Congress, even to have the Library of Congress's sort of information. But with everything digitized and access anywhere, you could be in a jungle in South America, and if you had just an internet link somehow, you'd have access to all of humanity's information. So it would actually effectively create a superorganism and fundamentally change the nature of humanity itself.
While he is aware of the possibilities that the internet brings, Elon is also conscious of the pitfalls that come with it. There is a reason he doesn't have an Instagram. Speaking about the topic with Joe Rogan on his podcast, Elon said he didn't believe the images created on social media, especially Instagram, amounted to true reality. The modification of pictures to appear more beautiful, happier, and more content is something that puzzles him. That is why he just doesn't find the idea appealing.
But one of the issues with social media, it's been pointed out by many people, is that I think maybe particularly Instagram, people look like they have a much better life than they really do.
Right.
So
by design.
Yeah, people are posting pictures of when they're really happy. They're modifying those pictures to be better looking. Even if they're not modifying the pictures, they're at least selecting the pictures for the best lighting, the best angle. So people basically seem they're way better looking than they basically really are.
Right.
And they're way happier seeming than they really are. So if you look at everyone on Instagram, you might think, man, there are all these happy, beautiful people, and I'm not that good looking, and I'm not happy, so I must suck, and that's gonna make people sad. So when in fact, those people you think are super happy, actually not that happy. Some of them are really depressed, they're very sad. Some of the happiest seeming people, actually some of the saddest people in reality. And nobody looks good all the time. It doesn't matter who you are.
No. It's not even something you should want. Why do you
Yeah.
want to look great all the time?
Yeah, exactly. So I think things like that can make people quite sad.
Well, you
just by
basically-
comparison, because you just sort of you people people generally think of themselves relative to others. We are constantly rebaselining our expectations. And you can see this, say, if you watch some show like Naked and Afraid, or if you just go and try living in the woods by yourself for a while, and you'll learn that civilization is quite great. It has a lot of it. People want to come back to civilization pretty fast on Naked and Afraid.
Wasn't that a Thoreau quote? The comparison is a thief of joy.
Yeah, well, happiness is reality minus expectations.
Instead of Facebook and Instagram, which he says aren't really his style, Elon says his social media platform of choice is Twitter because it allows him the liberty of interacting with people from all walks of life, and it has the capacity of stimulating intellectual exchanges as well as humor. And his qualms with Facebook just don't let him get sucked into the monotony of the cycle.
Like, I don't trust Facebook, obviously, and then Instagram is fine, but it's, I think, not exactly my style. It's hard to convey a sort of intellectual arguments on Instagram. It's hard on Twitter too, but but you can't, it's, so Instagram is also owned by Facebook, and I was like,
Deleted.
Yeah, just deleted it. It's like I don't really need to if I need to say something, I only really need to say it on one platform, pretty much. So if I'm trying, and I don't want to spend too much time on social media, so it's just like, okay, if people want to know what I'm saying, then they can just sort of go to Twitter, and I'll keep doing that as long as Twitter is good, I suppose, more good than bad.
And with the hype created around new technology that has all tech giants from Apple to Google on their feet, Elon even took the time to express his concerns about the future of this technology. While he was intrigued by the concept and possibilities of artificial intelligence, he was concerned about the directions this hypothetical AI could take in the future. He added that we needed to accept that not all possible results of creating a functioning AI would be benign, and then it's time to ask whether the risk is worth the rewards, and even if they are, what sort of contingencies do we need?
You deserve the background. We've been talking to Jeff Bezos, Sundar Pichai. We talked to Mark Fields from Ford about it. The Facebook folks. There certainly seems to be in the tech companies a big, tremendous new drive or interest to believing there will be all competing for intelligent assistance.
And it's good. It'll make your life better. And
make your life better.
Technology
Siri is going to suddenly get smart. Microsoft's one is going to get smart. Google is going to cream them all.
It's largely a happy version of this. Sometimes technology hurts you, but not as much as it helps you. That's really.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of conversation here about that.
Yeah, sure.
And you've staked out a slightly different position. So can you talk about that?
Well, I mean, I think my sort of full position would require quite a long explanation. I mean, I am concerned about certain directions that AI could take that would be not good for the future. I mean, I think it'd be fair to say that like not all AI futures are benign, not all.
Okay.
And so if you have something, if we create some digital superintelligence that exceeds us in every way by a lot, it's very important that that be benign. And so actually with a few others, I created OpenAI, which is an AI. It's a nonprofit actually. There's no. I think the governance structure here is important. So we want to make sure that there was not some fiduciary duty to generate, profit off of the AI technology that's developed. So we created this 501c3, but I think it's quite different from. I mean, like a lot of sort of 501c3s are, they don't have a high sense of urgency, and like they're not like, they're not really sort of developing technology at a fast pace. But OpenAI is, so OpenAI has a very high sense of urgency, and I think that the people that have joined are really, really amazing. And the intent with OpenAI is to democratize AI power. There's a quote that I love from Lord Acton. He was the guy that came up with power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, which is that freedom consists of the distribution of power and despotism in its concentration. And so I think it's important, if we have this incredible power of AI, that it not be concentrated in the hands of a few and potentially lead to a world that we don't want.
And what world is that? What do you foresee that when you see it?
It's difficult. I mean, it's called the singularity because it's difficult to predict exactly what future that might be. Except I don't know a lot of people who love the idea of living under a despot. I don't think people generally choose to live in a democracy over a dictatorship.
And the despot would be the computer?
Or the people controlling the computer.
And do you worry specifically about any of these companies I mentioned, who've all seemed to now kind of be pivoting toward this as the battleground in the next 10 years?
I won't name a name, but there is only one.
There's only one you're worried about. And they're not preoccupied with making a car that will compete with you, I assume.
There's only one.
And tell me, this is an interesting...
It's not about competing. It's just like this is sort of like what would be the point of competing for, mutual destruction? It's like it's not about competing. It's really just about trying to increase the probability that the future will be good. That's all.